Hey guys, what's up? It is Sarfnic here, episode of Harth History. This is episode 10. Oh my god, guys, after this, there's only 3 episodes left? Yeah. We've worked our way through it, guys. Oh my gosh, we've gone through so many Harth stuff. Now, if you're a new Harth member or someone who didn't play Everneth, I'd recommend watching this, because this is actually a pretty cool situation we got ourselves in. But before we get into Everneth, I need to actually go into the in-between. You see, I was banned from Harth, and all things seemed weird, until Warcries and Aramus decided to invite me to another Harth ARK training. This time was for Butter Taco. I joined. We didn't get along that well, but we got along better than we did a few months prior, and they actually eventually moved on to Official in around November and December of 2019. I didn't join them for a little while because they still didn't trust me enough to play. However, Warcries and I had kind of made up a little bit, and we had done some Terraria stuff together, so Warcries decided to invite me to Official. Now, if you guys know what Official is on ARK, I can't really disclose that much, but I was with a faction, and we played on Scorched Earth. Eventually, that stuff came to a surprising end, and we were out of stuff to do. Now, Aramus and Warcries still wanted to go on Official, but just play it solo, like we wouldn't join any teams. But then, we realized something. Everneth SMP Season 6 was beginning. So Everneth is a Minecraft SMP that Warcries invited me to, and he discovered it through Steel, and as you guys know, I discovered Steel through GL, so technically I was the one who led to it. I actually joined in April of 2018, but didn't get to play until July of 2018 when their Season 5 began. Well, Season 5 was finally coming to a close. Yeah, Season 5 lasted from like July of 2018 to January of 2020. Now, Everneth was no joke of an SMP like a lot of the other SMPs I've joined. Even GL wasn't as big as this one. Huge SMP with a website, pretty official, had a staff system, everything. And it was pretty expensive to pay for, I bet. There was a lot of stuff going on there. It's actually where we met Yurimonte, and kkodie, who are still in Harth in this moment, and will be playing next season. Now, Aramus, Warcries, and I weren't really too big on Everneth. We thought it was an alright server. We didn't really like too much about it, because the community was just kind of cringe. You know, just kind of like a cringe Minecraft community. Didn't really care too much for them. We had our own thing going on, but we weren't really doing anything. So Aramus and Warcries were like, yeah, we'll join. I was already going to join anyways because Gamerai was hyping me up about the next season. I also forgot to mention we also met a Jib through there who also plays Harth LOL. So we joined for this new season, and it begins. So Warcries, Krat, and Aramus start a team, and they actually invite me to join. And I'm like, nah, because I was teaming with Gamerai, HG Wix, who's a pretty nice Australian guy that we met through the SMPs. Pretty awesome. He doesn't hang out with us anymore, though. But he's pretty good at Minecraft. And also Gamerai's cousin Cole, aka Partial Kitten. So Aramus and Warcries named their team the Brotherhood of Nyx. So I decided kind of like just to be like a rivalry, I named my team the Brotherhood of Harth. So we decided to base at a savannah right outside the spawn jungle. Yes, the spawn was a jungle. Set up a nice wall there, you know, the average Sarfnic wall. Built some houses. Still one of my best star houses to this day. And meanwhile, Aramus and Warcries and Krat went to a mountain far away and built a hole in it, kind of like a little base, and farm villagers. Does that sound familiar? Literally the exact same setup as they did for Harth S4. They purposely copied Harth S4. And just a reminder, this was actually in 1.15, not 1.14, but not much was different. This was a 1.15 SMP. We actually didn't do a Harth season for 1.15 because there wasn't enough changes for it. And so those guys created a tower made of obsidian and cobblestone. The cobblestone was a place block because they didn't have the resources to actually design the tower fully. And call it the Tower of Nyx. It was a shop. And man, they were selling mending books. They had all the stock. No one else on Everneth really did the villager tricks. So they basically ruled the economy. They even got the server first wither as well. Now, look, HG Wix, Australian man, he was very mischievous, and he managed to get himself and the rest of us actually banned from the Tower of Nyx shop, which apparently there's a rule about, like, you can still enter the shop, you just can't buy from it. But I don't think Aramus and Warcries knew that about the time. And Warcries had to leave for a quick little ski vacation. Meaning it was only just Aramus and Krat, but Krat didn't really play enough. He was basically like Fadeful for the Architects, but on this team, well, Aramus and Warcries need to stop picking useless teammates for their epic teams where they take over SMPs. And for some reason, I don't think HG Wix even knew Warcries is gone. HG Wix has left a sign outside of one of Aramus's places saying, oh, we're declaring war. And Aramus asked me if I accept, and I just hear about this in one morning. I'm like, well, sure, yeah, I want to fight a war. In Everneth S5, I actually battled Yurimonte one time and won. I also battled 20J Porter and won. To be fair, both times I had the numbers advantage, but I had the numbers advantage here too, so yeah. So we accept the war, and then I return to my base, and I remember I was going to call it HUX, Partial K and AK Cole. I'm just going to call him Cole because that's his general name. Partial K was just his MC name. and Gamerai, and we're preparing to fight Aramus. They're setting up OBS, because back then, Gamerai actually used to have a YouTube channel. He doesn't have it anymore. He got rid of it like a year ago. And as we're doing that, Aramus just pops out of nowhere outside the base. And we still had no idea how he knew where it was. He must have just used the nether and found the sign, because he had no idea where it was before. And he's got like a way better gear than all of us, so we just start fighting. Remember, Gamerai was like, I don't want to lose my stuff. Same thing with Cole. So I just said, you know what, fight him, and after the fight, just say you want your stuff back. I'm pretty sure that's honorable. But apparently, no, we actually had agreed to spoils of war. So, Aramus charged into battle, nearly killed me. HGWix tried to hold him up, and HGWix went down. Then Gamerai and Cole rushed him. Then they both went down, and he started burning their stuff, so they report him. And I just managed to escape barely. It's a massive L, and Aramus actually gets banned. Everyone thinks he's a legend in chat for killing all of us. It was amazing, but turns out he was banned just because technically the rules in Everneth didn't have place for spoils of war. So he actually got to call Pandio, who is their admin, and probably the least corrupt out of all of them, but we'll get into that later. And Pandio actually helps him make a war system where spoils of war could be used based on consent, and it would actually be allowed in Everneth. So they did that, and Gamerai and Cole dropped out of the war because they were pussies. They didn't want to lose their stuff. So basically just ended up being me and Wix versus everyone else. Actually, I think either Gamerai or Cole. I think Cole actually rejoined the war after a while anyway, so it was the three of us versus the three of them. Wait, wasn't Warcries on vacation? Well, yeah, kkodie was an ally who had a base right by Aramus and Warcries base, and they actually had given him some stuff, so he joined as well. So it was Krat, Aramus, and kkodie versus us. And they had too good gear. They destroyed us, man. We had a bunch of fights. This was honestly one of the most amazing and fun wars I've ever participated in. And eventually, we submitted. I decided to make a merge deal with Aramus. I would join his team. We'd become one. Basically, all my property would become part of Nick's, and I'd also have permission in Nick's. And we agreed to do it. So we faked like a lore battle between me and Aramus. Aramus was rigged to win, plus he would have won anyways because he had better gear. And yeah, we became one team. I remember that night. It was just so fun. All of us, including kkodie, were just in a call vibing. Except Wix. Wix actually avoided the merge, believe it or not. He just left. And I remember everything being so perfect at that time. Like, nothing could go wrong. Well, shit went wrong. So, an election began. I think first off, Warcries returned from his vacation. Turns out it was a shitty vacation because he didn't even get a ski. Apparently, he got sick and just spent most of the time taking a shit and vomiting. Sounded horrible, man. He missed out on the best war that I've ever fought in with any of the Harth boys, and just get sick. There was the Ender Dragon event, and guess who got the kill? Warcries. Had to be luck because there was like literally 20 people in the end trying to fight the dragon. Or just knew how to time it correctly. Good job at Warcries. And then the Everneth election began. Now look, Everneth has staff. I call them admins, but they're actually kind of known as like dukes and barons and stuff. Duke being co-owner, which Rolo/Ricky had. He has two names for some reason. Then owner being king, which Faceman had. The owner of Everneth was inactive as fuck. He barely logged in. I think he just paid for the server. His name was Faceman. He was like active somewhere on the Discord, but he just never logged in. Like, complete absent owner. Sugar daddy, if I will. Anyways, the election was for Baron, which is like mini-mod, I guess. Trial mod, actually, is what I think the official name for it was. But we call it Baron because that's what they called it. And that's what we're going to be calling this video. So, basically what happens is there's a post on their website, and someone could nominate someone for Baron, and you could even nominate yourself. And the top 3 players with the most nominations would go to the finals, where only 2 of them would become Baron, and the one with the least votes would get nothing. And you could vote for 2 people as well, like you could vote twice. So it's so weird, like there's a really weird system for election. So the top 3 candidates were Studio528, popular member on the server, and he was already getting so much support. We already knew he was going to win first place. He was going to become Baron. So the battle was for second place between Sirium, which was Pandiu, who's already an admin, little sister, and then HGWix, one of our friends. So obviously the Nyx team, we supported HGWix, and we were the most powerful team on the server. But we were also pretty hated because of the Nyx tower just being really ugly. And all the shitheads on this server hated our thing. This server was full of toxic motherfuckers. Just shut out one, Old Man 6, really bad bitch. He was scum to me in Season 5. And then to add on to it in Season 6, he was like trying to call our tower, saying it should be tore down and BS. Unironically being a scumbag. Anyways, Pandiu liked us at first. He even tried to help Aramus out in our little war we had. But once he found out that we were going against his sister, he got pissed off and started to show a dislike for us. And that was just sucky. So you see, he really wanted his sister to win the election. Like, he almost insider. He gave her a little boost time to time. But we had a lot of friends like Lou and Dragoon who were also in Everneth. And we were going to win this election until the incident. So there were actually a few incidents I need to go over. I think there's actually only one. This was before one player's sleep became a game rule, but they had a plugin for it. And you could actually cancel the sleep if you didn't want it to switch to day. So Aramus was hunting creepers one day, and one of these guys, I forget his name, I think it was Bio, yeah, Bio something. He was one of the trial mods, and he was trying to sleep, but Aramus was hunting creepers, so he kept denying it, which is perfectly legal. And the guy kicked Aramus, like, /kick, which was a complete abuse of power, and Aramus was really pissed off about that, like, straight up. Should have reported him to the higher authority, and I think we did, but I don't think anything happened. Now let's get into the incident. So, Yurimonte, someone we were friends with who actually is in Harth, and he's actually going to be an integral part of our Harth SMP Season 5 as well, when that video comes out. I was actually offline during this time, so I joined right when the chaos started. But basically, he went to the Nyx base, Gamerai, Warcries, and Aramus were on, and he killed a bunch of chickens. And so Aramus said stop and was yelling at him to get out of the base, you know, you're not allowed, fair stuff. And I don't think Yuri left for a while. And the staff were getting mad. Specifically, Kadashatsi, Lady Kadashatsi, woman. She got her staff, like, within being in the server for only a few months. She got elected as staff, so she had a lot of simps. And she basically just took Yuri's side here, pure corruption. Then Pandio says, stop talking about it, bring it to DMs, or else I'll start handing out points, which is Everneth's form of punishment. You get a point, and that's like a negative thing. It goes away after a little while. Harth actually steals this idea later on, and we revise it so it's better. And they do bring it to DMs. But for some reason, they still get points, because I don't know, maybe Warcries or Gamerai asked a question about it in public chat for a second, and Aramus gets banned. Well, Aramus gets banned because he already had some points from that earlier incident with the Spoils of War stuff. Pretty pathetic, those points would have been reversed, man. And everyone got points, but Aramus got banned temporarily for like a day because of the fact that he already had points already. So, yeah, that basically led to Warcries and Aramus's exit from Everneth. They decided just to go back to ARK and do some official stuff, so they left. Kind of sad, because we had some plans for some epic builds that season. Anyways, Gamer decides to stay, and I decided to stay as well, because I still had some trust in Everneth, and still had a little bit of fun going on. So, there was a point where Aramus and Warcries had an idea after this original corruption where they would grief the server and bomb it. Gamer and I chose not to participate, but we knew about it. We couldn't record it, obviously, because if we knew about it, then the staff knew we knew about it, we'd get banned. But unbeknownst to me, Warcries, or Aramus, Gamer proceeded to tell the staff about this plan, but sadly it was allegedly, so Warcries and Aramus got temp banned, like perm banned, until they hit up one of the admins and talk about what happened. So now that the Nyx team really wasn't much of a thing anymore, there was no real support for HG Wix, but it's still tied between him and Sirium. So the way their system worked is if there's a tie, the staff vote on it, it tied again, then the king, aka owner of the server, votes on it, but if he does not respond, it goes straight to the Duke, and that's how they break the tie. So they go to Faceman, who obviously is inactive AF, but he was active enough to like respond to DMs on the daily. He just did, nothing happened. Then it just went straight to Duke Rolo, and Rolo just said, yeah, well, I'm going to pick Shirium, obviously because he was friends with Pandiu, and, you know, Pandiu's a staff member, and you got a sister. And Sirium wins the fucking election. A 13-year-old girl who is got an older brother who's high-ranked. I wonder if that wasn't a little rigged. Anyways, then Gamerai gives in to peer pressure because I was dumb. I actually had the choice just becoming the owner of Nyx since we only had like 3 members now. Partialkin, me, and Gamer. I said I would call him Cole, but I keep calling him Partialkin because that's what his name was on the SMP. And I was dumb, man, and I decided to split it 50-50 between Gamer and I. And Gamer gives in the little peer pressure, fucking Gamer. Huge flaw with this character, by the way, giving in the peer pressure. And takes down the Tower of Nyx because it's too ugly. Because Sirium and Old Man 6 and all these losers on the SMP complained about Silly Emily. Fuck them. I never gave a shit about them anyways. Even when I was still at Hope and Everneth, I still just said no to them every time they said, "Can you please tear down the tower?" Now, I was pissed about this. I was really mad at GamerEye, because I knew that I was starting to get very pissed off with the community of Everneth at this time. Anyways, that night, or well, night after that, I don't really know, I actually met a man named Aaron Mango. He was a no-micer who always plays on the SMP. He's pretty OG. And he hated Serum as well. He really opposed her in the election. He supported Wix. I liked him a lot. He also had a hatred for the staff. And one time we were just making fun of Serum as a joke. And then frickin' Rolo/Rike, he's the head admin. I also kind of refer to him as the co-owner because he basically was the co-owner. He basically was the owner because the owner was never active. He decided to warn both of us and say, "Stop shit-talking the admins. It's gonna make new players suspicious of us. So, just a warning." And that made us really angry. And Serum actually abused this night. I remember I had a clip of this, but dumbass Sarfnic deleted the clip, probably just clear up some storage. I just looked through some random clips and deleted it. Basically, Serum literally abused her power one time. There was one time where we were in one of Everneth's channels, voice channels, and she joins, and Aaron's like, "Sarfnic, let's move calls." So we just moved to another one that's in the same Discord, and she follows again, and we keep moving, and eventually she actually server mutes me. She couldn't server mute Aaron Mango because he's a no-micer. And it's like, you guys want to talk without me now? Straight up abuse. Even if it was a joke, that's still straight up abuse. So I like how the girl that won the election by a little bit of corruption also was an abuser. Just gotta love that admin abuse. So after that, Aaron Mango and I keep talking. We discover we actually have a lot in common. And we decide to make a little deal with each other. I tell him about what happened with the Tower of Nyx being torn down. And he just said, "Hey, you should rebuild it." And we decided to rebuild it. And what we did actually is him and I had some obsidian both our bases. We just collected all that. And I remember the next day we logged in and decided to build it. Now, there was a rule that like certain area of spawn was just for shops. And Pandio and Serum built a house together right next to spawn, which broke their own rules. But no corruption, so didn't count for them, I guess. If it was one of us, 100% they would have notified us to tear it down immediately. Rules for thee, but not for me. So we decided to build this tower there. And I'm like, well, let's make it as ugly as possible, like even uglier than the original one. Like put the same block palette, which is just cobblestone and obsidian, and build it right in front of their house, and it'll block their view. So we start to do that. Aaron Mango uses TNT to blow up the jungle around it so we have space. And I spent like a good hour on this, and boom, I built it. And it was so ugly, and we actually decided to make it functional. Like, I was actually going to sell stuff there and everything. Now, meanwhile, Aramus and Warcries would do an ARK, and I actually decided to invite Warcries back to check this out, and he does. But then Warcries realized something. He's banned. This is when we just found out about the temp banning thing, and the ban said talk to Rolo whenever you can. So Warcries talks to Rolo, and it turns out that, yeah, he knew about the griefing. At the time, we had no idea how they knew about the griefing. We actually sussed it was kkodie. So we asked GamerEye about it, and he said, "Oh, I told kkodie." And it made sense, because kkodie was actually good friends with Pandio, despite being one of our allies. Fuck Pandio. So, yeah, we thought it was kkodie. Anyways, we got Warcries unbanned. And Aramus didn't care enough to rejoin, so he never got unbanned. And yeah, that day ended. Then the next day, I remember returning home from school, driving home, you know, junior year memories. Have some nostalgia for that, because it was pre-COVID. This was about February 19th was this date. And I see that I got a message from Rolo/Rike saying, "I saw what you built here. I warned you, whatever. And now I'm going to put a leash on both you and Aaron Mango." So we were both being punished for this because we both worked on this. And he said, "Take it down or else there will be punishments." And he gave us like a 2-day time frame to take down the entire tower. It was made of obsidian. That would take freaking forever. This was before Netherite. And I don't think, like, we could have used a beacon, but it still would have taken forever. Efficiency 5, Haste 2 beacon to take this thing down. So I actually called Warnick, which was our group chat between me, Warcries, and Aramus. It's still a thing even to this day. We still use it all the time. I'd actually recommend watching the video on it. It's episode 13, I believe. It's on your screen right now. It's a beautiful, I mean, it's on the iCards right now. It's a beautiful video we made. It's hilarious and epic, and you just see how much fun we had. So I get in contact with them, and we just shit-talk Rolo, and Aramus and Warcries say, "Hey, fuck it. Let's do our plan about griefing Everneth." So we log in, but Aramus is still banned. Remember, Warcries got unbanned the previous day. And so we're like, well, it would be kind of sus to request Aramus is unbanned as well. So, yeah, Warcries and I would just do the griefing. So we just grief Everneth. Start blowing up a bunch of bases. It's amazing, stealing stuff. We actually griefed our own base first, believe it or not. Scorched Earth policy and all that. And then we started griefing a bunch of other bases. Like, remember we griefed Neon Gnarl's base. I actually think that was not even on camera. Like, I think I deleted the recording of us doing that. So, yeah, we did that. Just mention that here. Then we griefed Remy's base. Warcries confused him for Rolo/Rike. I remember saying, War, don't grief him. He's not staff. War's like, he is staff. And I just said, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to get an argument. Fine, you can grief him, whatever. And then, I remember I griefed Old Man 6's. We tried to find Kadashatsi and Sirium and Pandu's base, but they actually hadn't had bases yet. And then we were about to get to spawn. And that's when Pandu logged in. So then we kind of had to play it off like we were pretending just to take down our tower. He was in Spectator too, which was really scary. Then, little old Remy logs in and sees his base grief. He's like, what the F in chat? My base has been griefed. And then Pandu TPs and Aramus is like, well, time to speed grief, blow up the snowman and start blowing up the Netherhub with beds. So we do that. I still very pissed off that we never got to grief Pandu and Sirium's house. I was waiting for that so much, man. But anyways, we got caught eventually and perm banned. But then they forgot to ban us from the test world because they have a test world where you can build stuff with World Edit. And so we log in, Warcries World Edit's a few builds away. It's hilarious. And then we get banned from that one too. We get perm banned from the Discord as well. I get some angry messages from Ricky before he blocks me. And then Sirium blocks me as well. And then Faceman logs in. It took them forever to fix all the griefs. Even like at the end of the season and many months later, they were still finding stuff that we griefed. Like kkodie's basement, they forgot to fix. And they also couldn't fix villagers or maps. Because I remember Gamer had a bunch of like map art of anime stuff. And Aramus said, burn it! And well, they couldn't recover it, so it's pretty hilarious. Pandio and I actually have a lot of conversation after this for like the next month or so. And then one day he just deletes all his responses, which is really sus. Like, this is really suspicious. Like, why would you delete all your responses and then stop responding to my DMs? Just keep me as a friend anyways? That makes no sense, man. Pandio is fucking whack in the head, bro. But yeah, we got banned. We left a legacy, though. They still talk about us a lot to this day. They miss us, man. We made that SMP season fun. Obviously, we were on really bad terms with GamerEye after his betrayal. Fuck him. That's what we were basically like back then. I was the one who actually showed signs of, like, still trusting him. And that's how he gets back into Hearth later on. And Yurimonte, someone who takes our side, but still refuses to leave Everneth or call them out on the corruption. He still pretends he likes them for some reason. I don't understand that, Yuri. Actually joins Hearth. And then we start preparing for Harth SMP Season 5, which would start in June of 2020. So overall, Everneth was an amazingly fun experience. Aramus still loves to reminisce about it because it was just so fun. Sucks that the staff were corrupt as bitches. I think even Rolo/Rike made up some lie that I hated women after that. Just complete liars and scum. I wish Faceman would be an actual smart owner and investigate his staff members instead of just turn a blind eye to whatever the fuck they do. He lets them run his own server, and it's kind of sad and pathetic as well. But yeah. Wow, what a long segment. Oh my god, 23 minutes. Alright, let's get into some interviews, which also are pretty long from what I know. You ready to talk about Everneth?
I suppose it had to come around sometime. This is gonna be a long one, guys. Buckle in.
Yeah, boys.
I mean, it was a decent SMP, but there were issues with the staff, especially with corruption.
So, Butter Taco, what did you think about Everneth SMP?
I never played it. All I know is it's shit.
Season 6. I actually had taken part in Everneth Season 5 with you guys, but it kind of pittered out for me, and there were other games that warranted my attention.
A year and a half earlier.
So Everneth was actually a server that I quite enjoyed. I didn't like a ton of the people on it. They had their flaws and all that stuff. They're human. Sure. I actually really liked Everneth as a server. I was really, well, I was really eager to get into Season 6. And this is yet another data point as to why Warcries and I should never be on a team. I wanted to come in and just dominate the economy when it came to books. And we did. And at spawn, it is conventional of most Everneth servers to make a shopping district. So this was the initial founding, the first canon mention, or the first real mention of Nyx. Would come later. Warcries and I designed our team around a shadowy cult that was basically designed around torturing villagers for their knowledge of enchantments and resurrecting those who we conquered in war in our service. That was actually the brotherhood of Nyx at the time, and would be a very, very important lore pillar that operates outside of Hearth. Krat was also with us, which is worth mentioning.
This group was Aramus, Krat, and I. Krat never participated after like the second day. He didn't do anything. It was pretty much Aramus and I. This is where we really revealed our true skill at the game as a team and alone. I mean, you saw how fast we surpassed literally everyone on the server. So in that regard, I really respected the team. It was a very fun time prior to any of the corruption, and I still enjoy it in that regard. That wasn't because of Everneth's staffing or anything, or Everneth's quality. It was simply because of the combo.
So you were a trio team, I believe.
Yes, although it was mainly Warcries.
And you guys had invited me, actually, Sarfnic.
Yes.
And I actually decided not to go with you. I decided to go with Gamereye and HG Wix, along with Cole, who was known as Partial Kid back then.
I liked it. It was a very good time of discovery in terms of villager strats and things like that.
I like how you guys had your Everneth Season 6 base was identical to your Hearth Season 4 base. Yeah. It's identical. Our two groups went to war because of some dumb sign that HG Wix left.
So, yeah, this is ridiculous. I normally say Sarfnic bad. Sarfnic gets himself into wars and shit, and Everneth Season 6 is kind of no exception to that. But you have to know the run-up to this. So, our teams were the only two teams with members that were exclusively from Hearth coming into Everneth. Corden doesn't count because Corden. Yeah. Corden's always had kind of dual loyalty, if you know what I mean. And I haven't begrudged him that. Everneth was a really good server. Until... we'll wait for that part. But basically, HG Wix, one of Sarfnic's team members, our teams were allies, practically. We were trading with each other. HG Wix came to my base one day and posted a sign outside it saying that he declared war. I'm like, okay. I was a little confused at first because I actually liked Wix.
So just to clear up here, Warcries had actually left on vacation at this time, so Warcries was not able to participate.
And Krat wasn't actively playing for the first bit, so it was just me at the time. So I'm like, what the hell?
Prior to that, I did go on a vacation, a ski trip, and I got sick to the point of having to lay in bed all day for the entirety of that week-long ski trip. So it was like the worst vacation of my life, and I also missed one of the pretty much the best war, the war that you guys always recollect over, and from what I've seen, was amazing. It would have been so great to have the both of us pawning you, because it would have been even more embarrassing when you all died immediately. But
yeah, the war began the day you left, and it ended like the day before, or maybe a few days before you returned. So.
Like, Aramus alone was menacing enough, but Aramus and I would just propel it even more.
So I go and say, Sarf, I accept your challenge, because I knew he's the leader of their team, effectively.
I was confused.
And apparently there was some miscommunication, but you accepted the challenge anyway. So we went to war.
And I remember the day we declared war on each other, I was with Gamereye, Partialkin, and HG Wix, and we were preparing to attack your base because we all knew where your base was.
Perhaps the single best memory I have.
And then all of a sudden, like, they're trying to launch OBS and stuff, and all of a sudden...
Play the clip, play the clip!
One to attack. Kai is outside our base randomly. Krat, rush out. He's poisoning people. Fight! Fight! What are you doing? What are you doing? Fight him! There you go.
Aramus just pulls up outside the base. Like, we had no idea he knew where we were. Because we knew where his base was, but he had no idea where our base was. So we had no idea how he got there.
Scouting networks, boy.
You can continue the story from here.
Okay, so it was designed to be the fall of Kaib, the first major defeat that Kaib suffers. The guy is on a roll. He did well in the Harth SMP and whatnot. He's Mr. Cool McCoolson. So Sarfnic thinks he's going to seize the opportunity to use his overwhelming numbers and coordination with his teammates to kill me on stream, ambushing me in my base. Little did he know that I was lurking in the shadows. And Warcries and I we just had so much better gear at this point because it's Warcries and we always have the best gear. I come in and proceed to eviscerate Sarfnic and his unprepared thing. Sarfnic actually escapes, I believe. He engages me. Wix charges out of nowhere. I'm throwing and missing with poison pods. You can overlay this on like the video and shit. It's utter chaos. I accidentally shoot someone's parrot. I kill Partial. I kill Wix. I get Sarfnic running. I kill Gamer Eye. I kill Partial again.
And then Gamer Eye reports you and shit.
It starts raining. Yes, his bow is useless. Looks in the combat chat. Wix dies to my bow. It's so great. So many memes. Perhaps the single best meme moment in all of Hearth history for me wasn't even on Hearth.
Yeah, and then you got like reported by Gamer.
Yeah, I got
actually banned you for like a hour, I believe.
They gave me points.
And then you actually talked with Pandiu about it, and he actually unbanned you. And you
Here's the
liked him.
thing. That was my first encounter with Pandiu.
Just to confirm, he's a staff member on the server.
I fucking loved Pandiu. I thought he was the bee's knees. I loved that guy. He ran a very efficient show on the site. They had a website. Then he ran the RPG side of things for the RP side of things. And he actually came out and defended me because it's me. So naturally, I'm RP talking shit in chat because it's an RP SMP server. So I'm saying like, you fools should have prepared better, scum, pathetic, this sort of thing, as I'm just scything down Surf's troops.
Yeah, it's funny.
So
I remember they were asking for their stuff back, and you just said RP lines in chat and killed them.
I remember one specific quote from Aaron Mango. Are you guys really bad, or is Kaib an esports player? Or something like that. It just made my day. Definitely worth the points.
Yes, the war. The war that you threatened me daily when I got on.
Yeah.
Every time I got on, you said, I'm gonna kill you, Krat.
I wish I was able to, but I didn't, sadly.
Yeah, then you decided, because I literally said I wasn't gonna fight.
Aramus gave you gear. Actually, we had like a combat moment for a second, if I don't recall.
I don't remember.
We had like a fight, but I had to retreat because I didn't have enough good gear.
You fought. You had not fought. You did not fight me.
It was like you and Aramus. That was like you, Aramus, and KKK.
Aramus is the one that fought. Aramus is the one that beat you to a pulp.
And you remember?
You fled so fast. And he also beat up your team for like a few minutes.
We don't talk about that moment, please.
You died so many times. He literally killed you all, and it was glorious.
Anyways, then the war continued. I believe you had kkodie as one of your allies. Yeah.
I remember when Kaib, hid in my sugarcane farm, and we never found him.
Krat
yes, kkodie joined the fray on our side. This was actually, ironically enough, the war templates that we officially used for Hearth weren't initially used on Hearth. That template system was created by me to give a more assertive order to the Everneth Season 6 conflict, which is between the Kingdom of Ethia and the Brotherhood of Nyx.
Yeah, I believe you and Pandiu actually made a system to enable combat and stuff.
We did. So in that instance, I actually kind of worked with Pandiu. I wanted to enhance the server because it's a cool server. I just had this great experience where I killed 4 people as they were opening OBS and shit. Oh man, that's great memories.
Anyways,
so that war continues, but there was a couple additional skirmishes, one of which I think Wix gets himself picked off by kkodie or something. But the war kind of immediately tumbles into disarray.
There actually was another skirmish. kkodie pulls up to my base and starts sniping, and I just drink an invisible potion, and I just escape.
Yeah, so the war kind of starts to peter out.
And then we actually made a settle for peace, actually.
Here's the thing. There was an instance where I was kind of suing for peace, kind of not really. And I offered 2 of your teammates, Partial Kitten and Gamer Eye, to join my team. And they were kind of like, yeah, but how much are you going to pay us? I'm like, many billions of dollars. And they're like, oh, okay. Bye, Surf.
Yeah.
Kind of jokingly. But they actually, in the lore, well, you'll see when the official Hearth lore novella about the burning of Everneth comes to stores soon or some shit.
Yeah. And I believe after that, we made a deal where I joined your team as well, and our teams sort of merged, excluding
Yes, so there was a
HGX.
gigantic RP battle at spawn, and the entire server was there watching, like, what the hell is going on, where Sarfnic and I battle to the last. Naturally, in the RP, in the lore, I kill Sarfnic and resurrect him, Partial Kitten, and Corey, all as Nixite Inquisitors, Death Knights, and I believe emissaries in your case. You see how the Brotherhood of Nyx was set up is there were different roles, and you would have a different colored Nixite insignia on your shield, depending on what your role was. Partial Kitten, the Inquisitor, I believe, was in charge of torturing the villains and interrogating them to see what their knowledge of the arcane was. Warcries, I forget what his was, a Reaver, basically, I had the sheet somewhere, but basically we were Dark Riders is what we were, and now there were 6 of us.
And I remember
because we just had
Porter showed interest in our team after that.
Yes, 20J Porter was actually an economic rival at that point, but he began becoming a lot more friendly as soon as he saw that we now had 6 people under our banner. HG Wix actually parted ways from us, though, and canonically was not slain there. He went off and did his own thing, I believe.
And we were on our way to becoming the kings of the SMP.
We were the kings of the SMP.
We were planning so much stuff. Like, we were planning an event where we would, like, have a boss fight between Aramus, like a mini game. We were preparing for mini games and stuff.
Yeah, it was good. I was having such a great time. I'll even go so far as to say I had a better time in the start of Everneth SMP Season 6 than all of Harth SMP Season 3.
But then things got bad with the arrival of the election. So that's my next question.
I don't know why you accepted Wick's proposal, but you saw our progress.
Fun, man. I wanted to fight more.
So, there was an election for a specific role. If I remember correctly, it was Baron, which is sort of a moderator position on Everneth. Yep. And there were quite a few candidates, the most notable of which being HG Wix in our case. HG Wix joined our team after the resignation and the war. He initially did propose the war against us. And we all propelled him to the very top of the election. And then rather suddenly the votes went just went way out of our favor. To what was it? Who was it at the time that it went into the favor of?
Cirium.
Yes, Syria, a 13-year-old girl who apparently people all wanted to vote for.
I think I'm the youngest staff member ever.
Because her older brother was a staff member and totally wasn't manipulating the cards or anything. Totally,
Yeah. 100%. Either way, it became pretty clear that they were rigging it.
Just referring to this, Cirium actually abused her role after getting it, which makes me even more pissed off.
Yeah, so it became pretty clear that they were rigging it.
So I actually don't really mind the way that Everneth had their officer system set up. It is a little clunky in my opinion. For a server with that kind of gravitas, I can kind of get behind it. For people who've been in there for a bunch of years. But here comes the bad shit. There was a member on staff, Pandu, who I really liked, who had a little sister, Cirium. This is another very well-known Hearth meme that I will describe. I thought her name was, like, spelled differently or something like that. I was a student of chemistry at the time. I'm very good. I'm meticulous with my metals, with my elements and whatnot. I'm like, Cirium's not that way. Cirium's not an element and shit. And these two immediately perked their ears up.
Guy's like, yeah, no.
Because I thought she was just trying to describe Curium. Which is fucking hilarious. Just Aramus doesn't know Cirium became like a widespread Hearth meme. The pit brain Aramus meme as a result of this, not knowing Cirium. I promise I'm a good chemist though. HG Wix, I'd fought against him and actually really liked him. And even though he wasn't part of our team and didn't show a ton of warmth towards us, I really liked him. I thought he was fairly mature. And I wanted to lend the support of the Brotherhood of Nyx to HG Wix. And it was made a clan mandate that if you're going to vote in the election and stay in the clan, you must vote for HG Wix or debate me very well as to why you are not. Studio was a veteran member, was pretty much the shoe-in for the first slot. I didn't know much about Studio, but I'd had a little bit of interaction with him. He seemed like a cool guy. I didn't oppose Studio being elected. However, Cirium was a quasi-new arrival to the server, was Pandiyu's sister, immediately gathered some nepotistic support as a result of that. And then came the targeting. To this day, it is theorized that this election was effectively rigged by two individuals, Bayo and Kadashatsi. So Kadashatsi was another officer type who simply just didn't like me or our team because we had set up kind of outside their normal zone for spawn, but they don't actually have any rules, so they couldn't punish us for it.
Not to mention our ugly tower.
Yeah, so here's the thing. The Tower of Nyx had a very demanding block set. I was still farming for the materials, but I thought I'd lay out the skeleton and get the first layer of the shop up and running. And it did. It was the most successful shop on the server, bar none. It was not close. So much so that people actually had gotten banned, Relic Hunter is an example of this, for trying to X-ray for diamonds to buy our stuff with. It was in such high demand.
Relic Hunter was a guy who actually X-rayed on the server and got banned like a week later.
We made more profit off of the first floor of the Tower of the incomplete Tower of Nyx than all of the net revenue of the entirety of the external server combined, including after the end opening, where I believe it was Bayo had his Elytra Zone sale. We blew the market out of the water. It was not close. And so there was a lot of resentment that was garnered because of this, because we were kind of inflating the currency a little bit with our books, and no one else knew the secret apparently. So there is tacit resistance building to the Nyxite invasion of Everneth already. Kadashatsi is one of the instances of this, who would simply shut us up to say that she could shut us up. She didn't like us sort of asking about rules in the chat, even though normally that's a really good thing to do. There are a lot of instances where she would simply say, "Stop talking or I'll fucking ban you effectively, or give you points for it, being disrespectful to the admins," or whatever. And then there's Beowulf, who literally kicks people for not sleeping.
Yeah, he's straight up abused in that scenario.
Both of these people were aligned with Cerium, and both of these people were in Pandiyu's ear the whole time. So we have confirmation of this.
And HGX were battling over the second spot.
And it was neck and neck.
Mm-hmm. And we could have easily had pulled more votes, but then you guys quit the SMP.
We tacitly quit, but, well, actually, I was banned.
Well, you were banned, and Warcries quit, from what I know.
Yes, I was banned for no reason, literally. I mentioned, I think I medically mentioned to Pandiyu, I'm like, I'm gonna grief the server now, yay! And then Rolo, of all people, took this literally, apparently, and banned me for no reason.
There's actually a few other stories. So you and Warcries and I actually came up with a plan, and Gamer was in the call too, and we thought we're gonna grief the server. We said fuck this server, and
yeah, because they banned me out of nowhere. They have complete double
standards.
Gamer
snitched on us, and that's how you got banned.
Gamer snitched on us to kkodie.
I logged on one day and Gamer that's his name, right? Texted me or messaged me on there, and it was like, you know, everyone, they're planning on blowing up everything. I go, nice.
This actually would also have echoing effects going forward into the beginning of the Harth SMP Season 5 lead-up.
Once when I was annoying Gamer and the staff warned me to stop, Warcries and Aramus, who I guess was Kai then, was like questioning how they were dealing with it, and then they gave them points and temp banned them just for like asking, like questioning what they were doing and getting really mad about it, which was quite stupid. And generally they just kind of handled things strangely, and you could tell there's kind of a inner circle with many of the staff members.
Yeah,
I don't know. A little bit of a gang is a little strange.
You guys left for a bit, so I'm actually going to skip over some of the other stuff with Cerium winning and stuff. And I'm going to ask you about the griefing.
We went ahead and griefed the server.
Let's give some context to this. I was perfectly fine to say, okay, it's a really fun server that I've had great memories on that just had shitty staff problems. I might have considered even coming back. I discovered that I was banned somewhere in the interim. That irritated me, but I didn't really care. I didn't want to go appeal it. It's fine. It's Harth SMP Season 5 is going to come up fairly shortly. We have ARK to do, that kind of shit. Warcries and I were also on official at that time, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
But basically, I was kind of willing to let bygones be bygones, and then I discovered that Sarfnic, who is the de facto leader of our team ever since I was banned and Warcries quit, and Krat also quit, that's also worth mentioning, he had been told that he was required to take down the Tower of Nyx because it was supposedly ugly. Now, even in its unfinished state, that thing looked better than fucking Porter's building. Sorry, it did. Porter's building was literally a sandstone cube with glass windows everywhere. Like, what? So it was just the admins looking to rip out any memory of our clan from the server. Sirium won the election because I was banned. She won by like 3 votes or something like that. She banned, Warcries quit, Krat quit. That effectively swung it. Now, what ended up happening was, I believe, for a time, you guys kind of complied with it. However, you then, in protest for their corrupt dictatorial rules, ended up making an even uglier Tower of Nyx by their standards. This one was actually it was just an amalgam of blocks. The ultimate troll.
Aaron Mango and I were both opposed to Sirium's victory, and I mentioned the fact that Gamer-Eye's dumbass tore down the original Tower of Nyx because it was too ugly. And so he said, let's just rebuild it. So we just collected obsidian, and we met up the next day. I remember waking up the next day.
Spammed it everywhere.
And he blew up the jungle with some TNT, and it looked really ugly. And I remember Rolo, or Rike, he had 2 names, was really pissed off about that.
So thus commences the burning of Everneth.
So, yeah, talk about it.
The admins were just being toxic and just being unruly, and then just decided to ban you all for no reason.
Yeah, they banned Aramus for no reason. And so we got mad about it and we griefed.
Evil laugh. Sith laugh. There you go. Okay. So, the last straw was when, was it Ricky who messaged you and told you had X amount of time to take down the tower. Now there is a fantastic video on Sarfnic's channel. You don't see me say this very often. This video is underrated. All of those dislikes are Everneth establishmentarian punks. It is called The Revenge of Nyx. It is the Minecraft Everneth SMP Season 6 finale. And it has Darth Sidious on the front because revenge. Actually, we probably should have put Darth Maul up there, come to think of it. But whatever, it's me. I talk as Darth Sidious a bunch in the video, so there's that. Famous quotes include, insert clip.
Ricky,
You know what?
you.
Yo, we should join
You
General.
fools have offended me for the last time. I shall not stand for this.
Torres, I stream
My
for
minions
you.
shall destroy all of Everneth.
Look.
Their end begins.
Okay, Centaurus, what?
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Ricky. Yeah.
So basically, the admins just annoy Sarfnic to no end, and as a sort of a protest, sort of a formal resignation from the server, he, Warcries, myself in the wings, decide to grief the server. Now, to this day, I don't really hold any hard feelings. We go to spawn and we blew up some like cultural artifact, aka the giant snowman statue.
My goal was specifically to target staff. I was stupid in my choice because I chose one person that wasn't even staff.
I tried telling you he's not a staff member, but you insisted he was, so I said, okay, whatever. And that ended up being the person that got us. Because he logged in.
We did it rather successfully, other than, you know, that. We destroyed our own base first, just to fuck any of our teammates that still supported Everneth after that for some odd reason.
But we go around and just hit everyone's base. We know they can replace it with fucking Core Protect or whatever they're using. So this is our last hurrah. This is our last cry. The cult of Nyx attempts to overthrow and ethnically cleanse Everneth. And it was epic, and it was hilarious, and we got caught in the act, and it was a great RP moment. I remember Sarfnic's last words on the server were, "It's treason, then."
I guess the best way to summarize this would be the Saruman quote. A new power is rising. Its victory is at hand.
So great.
That was the highlight of Season 6, is when you guys nicked everything.
Yeah, we left quite a legacy. They seemed to be quite obsessed with us after that.
After we had griefed, they didn't realize for a solid maybe 20 minutes, and then we started and then they started investigating after realizing. And all of the staff were so incompetent that they didn't know how, so they had to get the server owner, Faceman, who only logs on like once a month because I guess he just pays for the server and lets the staff handle it for some reason. He's the one I respect the most out of all of them, but I still don't like him. No one knew how to use corporate tax, and Faceman got on to do so. Once they did start investigating it, before Faceman got on, we decided to grief the Nether spawn, Nether hub. Yes. Forgot the name of it for a second there. And I was retread, and I hadn't learned bed physics at the time, the specifics of raycasts in terms of TNT. Sarfnic hadn't either, but he was just more careful, and he had armor on. So I went ahead and killed myself after like 10 beds. Sarfnic went on a bit. So we griefed the Nether hub, and then we got banned after Faceman got on. They still haven't fixed everything, or they still hadn't fixed everything by the end of the season. Like, our base wasn't completely repaired because they didn't know how to fix villagers because they were retreads and shit like that.
They couldn't fix maps either because GameRiot had these weave maps, and Aramus was like, destroy them! And then Faceman, I remember while watching the video, Faceman's messaging GameRiot saying we can't fix the maps.
Yeah.
They use Core Protect, right? Like,
yeah, they're clearly not very competent with it. Not very competent staff, as you can tell by this entire interview.
The way I found out about it first is I logged on in my entire basement. Well, I guess they tried to restore everything, but they didn't restore my basement or my storage system. I go down there, I go, where's my basement?
Gone. They're so lazy when trying to fix the grief, they forgot about your basement.
I message the staff, I go, a part of my house is missing.
And the Everneth people really got fucking butthurt about it. It's so hilarious. So Sarfnic's just memeing, and I remember there being one specific message from Pandu sent to Sarfnic. You are the definition of baby rage. To this day, it is only the Evernethians that hold a really, really big fucking grudge for this. But even some of them understand that it wasn't really a hard feelings kind of thing. They made a meme about it. If you punch a staff member on their server, apparently you get an achievement now that references us.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I didn't even know about that. They talk about us all the time.
Yeah, it's called To the Resistance, I think. Listen, Everneth was fun for what it was.
They were fun, evil folks.
I couldn't. They had such potential.
Like, compared to the Moon Rabbits, we hate them, but they were fun to fight.
The Moon Rabbits never had anything to lose. Moon Rabbits never had any brain cells to defile.
Yeah.
Everneth was a legit fun server that I legitimately loved and wanted to go out quite literally with a bang on. And by the way, I will say, our griefing triggered a very rare occurrence to happen. Faceman, King Faceman, the owner of the server, the absentee father of Everneth.
He never logs in and he owns a base for it.
He actually came in to see the destruction. And get this, to start all of this off, we went scorched earth policy. We destroyed our own base because we didn't want anyone else to scavenge it after we were all banned to gain any evidence of this. He comes and undoes the damage to our own base and then gives it to other people, which is kind of weird.
And then GameRiot took over some of our resources and just wasted all of our diamonds because we had so many diamonds.
Yeah, that guy. Okay, so this was the very early relationship between GameRiot and I, or Cord Gamer as he was called back then. He and I were basically hated with one another at a certain point. We had just come out of a war. He had been serving fairly well. His investment choice was terrible. He was not a good economist. He had anime posters made in my base. That is unacceptable. He betrayed us from within our own team and then proceeded to reap the rewards when we actually did something about it. GamerEye and I were at like hated of hated up until like mid Harth SMP season 5 post. So that's actually worth noting. GamerEye and I, who are very favorable towards each other very now, started off as arch nemeses basically.
Well, I understand why you guys left the server. Obviously, staff issues. I mean, the griefing was a little bit childish. I wouldn't do it myself, but it was amusing, I'll admit.
This was so important to my relationship with Warcries because we just performed so well. We sunk countless hours into this. And the finale was so hype, and it was great because we were interacting with, people who we wouldn't normally be interacting with on Hearth. Neither of us was the authority figure, which had always kind of been a speed bump in our past because Warcries was the formal admin. So it was nice to see Warcries and I in a vacuum against supposedly equal-handed competition. It played so much a part of my gaming history that it is canonized in Hearth lore. and we'll have a novella being written about it shortly.
Amazing. Thank
Overall,
you.
Everneth, great server, fell to darkness. Sorry, guys, I had to do it to you. There is no mercy.
Thank you, dear with a Glock, and we will see you for the next interview of the next
Thank you,
episode.
Zane from Ninjago. Godspeed.
It was a super long Aramus interview. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. There are going to be more episodes coming Monday, but actually on Tuesday I'll leave for a little vacation. So I'm just going to be like pre-logging them, backlogging them, and uploading them. So like ahead of time just so they release. So hope you guys enjoy them. We only have 3 left, as I said.